Olivia always knew where she stood in her family, not beside them, not protected by them, not even truly seen by them, just somewhere in the background, quiet enough to ignore, useful enough to keep around. At 17, she learned exactly how little her pain mattered. It started with stomach cramps that wouldn't go away. At first, her mother brushed it off as stress, then anxiety, then probably nothing. But the pain kept getting worse until Olivia found herself awake at night, curled around her laptop, searching symptoms with trembling hands. The diagnosis came quickly after the hospital visit: a ruptured ovarian cyst. She needed outpatient surgery, urgent, though not life-threatening. For the first time in weeks, she felt relief. Then her older sister Jessica's graduation ceremony landed on the exact same day, and suddenly Olivia's surgery became an inconvenience. Her mother didn't hesitate. "We'll have to reschedule your procedure," she said while flipping through dresses for Jessica's graduation photos. "Your sister only graduates once." Olivia stared at her, waiting for the rest of the sentence. Waiting for concern, waiting for hesitation. It never came. "We already invited family," her mother continued casually. "Don't make this about you." That was the moment something inside Olivia quietly broke. While her family posed beneath gold balloons and posted smiling photos online, Olivia stayed home alone in pain. She watched the celebration through social media updates, clutching a heating pad against her stomach and realizing something she would never forget. In her family, she was optional. 3 days later, she took the bus to the hospital alone. She signed her own forms, sat through pre-op alone, waited alone after anesthesia because no one came to pick her up. A nurse finally asked gently, "Is anyone coming for you?" Olivia smiled weakly. "No," she whispered. "It's just me." And somehow, that became the story of her entire life. Jessica was the center of everything. Jessica got applause for effort. Olivia got criticism for excellence. If Olivia scored a 98 on a test, her mother asked why it wasn't 100. When Jessica barely passed chemistry, the family celebrated because science is hard for her. Jessica had dance classes, violin lessons, new dresses every semester. Olivia inherited old textbooks and silence. Even illness looked different depending on which daughter suffered. When Jessica twisted her ankle during cheer practice, the entire household panicked. When Olivia got strep throat, soup was left outside her bedroom door like an obligation. Eventually, Olivia stopped asking to be comforted. Then she stopped asking to be noticed at all. Instead, she buried herself in books. Science made sense in ways people never had. Anatomy had logic. Medicine had structure, precision, purpose. At 13, Olivia built a detailed model of a human heart valve entirely from recycled materials and wire. Her biology teacher studied it quietly after class before saying something that changed her life forever. "You'd make an incredible surgeon." That word stayed with her. Surgeon, not invisible, not decorative, necessary. That night, while Jessica practiced dances in the living room for another school performance, Olivia searched online. How to become a doctor with no money and no support. The answers weren't easy. Scholarships, community college, overnight jobs, endless studying. But for the first time, she had a direction. So she stopped trying to win love and started building a future. While other students slept, Olivia studied beneath flickering library lights after late restaurant shifts. She survived on coffee, exhaustion, and determination. When she got accepted into a prestigious pre-med program, she cried alone on a campus bench. Not because she was proud, because she was tired. Her mother texted her that same day. "Can you send Jessica $40? She forgot her wallet." No congratulations, no questions, no acknowledgement. By then, Olivia expected nothing. And strangely, that became her strength. She stopped chasing validation and focused entirely on mastery. Medical school consumed her life. Long rotations, endless exams, sleepless nights in emergency rooms. While others complained about exhaustion, Olivia quietly kept going. Because she understood something most people didn't. When no one rescues you, discipline becomes survival. During one surgical training lab, a respected trauma surgeon named Dr. Lem watched Olivia complete sutures faster and cleaner than every student in the room. He studied her work for a moment before speaking. "You've got surgical hands," he said. "You planning to specialize?" Olivia hesitated. "If I make it that far." Dr. Lem looked at her sharply. "You will." It was the first time someone in medicine looked at her like she belonged there, so she kept going. Year after year, rotation after rotation. While Jessica built a life around appearances and attention, Olivia built one around skill. Eventually, her name appeared on research papers, then residency placements, then leadership recommendations. Quietly, steadily, she rose, and somewhere along the way, she stopped needing her family's approval entirely. Years later, Jessica announced online that she had landed a position at Hart Memorial Hospital, her dream hospital. Her social media post exploded with excitement. "Future healthcare queen," one comment read. "Powerhouse family," another said. Olivia stared at the post after finishing a 14-hour surgical rotation. Because Jessica had no idea, Hart Memorial already knew Olivia very well, not as a student, not as staff, but as the newly appointed chief of surgery. Orientation day arrived 2 weeks later. 20 nervous new hires filled the hospital lecture hall, adjusting their scrubs and reviewing schedules. Jessica walked in late, laughing with another recruit, completely unaware. Then Olivia stepped onto the stage. The room fell silent instantly, white coat crisp, name badge gleaming. Dr. Olivia Hart, MD, Chief of Surgery. Jessica froze. Her expression shifted slowly from confidence to confusion, then shock. Olivia met the room with calm authority. "Welcome to Hart Memorial Hospital," she began evenly. "You were selected not only for your credentials, but for your potential." Jessica couldn't stop staring. Olivia continued professionally, never singling her out. "This profession rewards discipline, humility, and consistency, not ego, not attention, excellence." Every word landed harder than the last. Jessica sat completely still. For the first time in her life, she wasn't the center of the room. After orientation ended, Jessica found Olivia backstage. "Why didn't you tell me?" she asked softly. Olivia looked at her calmly. "You never asked." That answer followed Jessica for weeks. Because hospitals don't reward charm forever, they expose preparation. Jessica struggled quickly. Missed protocols, poor time management, weak performance under pressure. And for the first time in her life, nobody rushed in to protect her from consequences. Not even Olivia. One afternoon, Jessica cornered her near the break room, exhausted and emotional. "Everyone here treats me like I don't belong." Olivia took a slow sip of coffee. "Do you?" Jessica stared at her silently. There was no cruelty in Olivia's voice, no revenge, just honesty. Because medicine didn't care about family dynamics, it cared about competence, and Olivia had spent years earning hers. Meanwhile, something unexpected happened. The quieter Olivia became, the more respected she grew. Residents trusted her. Nurses admired her leadership. Younger female doctors gravitated toward her because she noticed the people others overlooked. She created mentorship programs for women from difficult backgrounds. She encouraged residents who doubted themselves. One young intern once apologized for speaking up during rounds. Olivia stopped her immediately. "Never apologize for being prepared." The intern nearly cried. Because Olivia recognized the fear instantly. She had lived it. Years passed. Eventually, Olivia became one of the youngest surgical department leaders in the hospital's history. The hospital board decided to honor her at their annual leadership ceremony. Her family wasn't invited. But somehow, her mother and Jessica showed up anyway. Olivia noticed them sitting quietly in the audience as she stepped onto the stage. For a moment, the old version of herself, the invisible daughter desperate to finally be seen, flickered somewhere deep inside her. Then it disappeared. because she no longer needed anything from them. She accepted the award gracefully and approached the microphone. The room waited. People often ask what motivated me to succeed. She began softly. A hush settled across the audience. For a long time, I lived in silence, at home, in school, even during some of the hardest moments of my life. Her mother lowered her eyes. But eventually, I realized something important. Silence can either bury you or build you. The room erupted into applause. Jessica never looked up. After the ceremony, a reporter stopped Olivia near the exit. "What would you say to people who've spent their lives being overlooked?" Olivia smiled gently. "Turn the silence into strategy," she said, "and never let someone else decide your worth." Outside the hospital, cameras flashed and voices buzzed around her, but Olivia barely noticed, because the greatest victory wasn't becoming chief of surgery. It wasn't the title. It wasn't the applause. It was this. The girl who once sat alone after surgery, believing she didn't matter, had grown into a woman who no longer needed permission to take up space. They chose her sister's graduation over her pain. So Olivia built a life so extraordinary that eventually the entire room stood when she entered it. Not out of sympathy, out of respect.